What's going on out there, fellas? My name is Ray, and in this video I'm going to be showing you guys how to soft wash a roof like a boss. So check it out. Alright, so first things first, we're going to come over here as soon as we get on site, get our water line hooked up, pull out our soft wash hose, and get that tank filling up. Then we'll come back over here to our soft wash system. Currently I'm using the 12-volt pump set up with a blend manifold. Other people will batch mix or they'll have the proportioner, but this is what we're using currently. And we like to turn the water all the way on, put the SH all the way on, which brings us to about a 6% mix, and we'll turn it down just a little bit to get us around a 4 or a 5%. Then we'll take a look at the pitch of the roof. And if it's a really high pitch, you want to add more surfactant for the stronger the pitch. So this is a pretty decent pitch. So what we'll do is we'll come over here to our surfactant line and we'll put that on about a 2.5. That way when we add that surfactant, that's going to allow that sodium hypochlorite to stick to the roof and do the cleaning. So anyhow, once we get all that in, we know that our pump's working, which we've already tested that. We'll turn our pump on, make sure everything's working, that we don't have any hiccups there. Then we'll start the property walk, which I've already been out here because I do all my estimates in person. But at this point, I like to come and do a property protection walk. And what that means is I'll start looking at several different things, like the downspouts. Check those downspouts out, see where they're running, talk to the property owner, find out if they know exactly where they run, so I make sure that I'm not going to be damaging any plants or any property when that roof mix comes down and goes down those downspouts. That's very, very important. So the next thing that I do is I like to come up on the roof and go ahead and take a blower and blow off all the debris, any kind of sticks, leaves, and stuff like that, because you don't want anything to be left on the roof. For one, it just looks unprofessional, and for two, it can leave little, streak lines, little clean lines in the roof. So you want to make sure you're producing good results for your customers. And so while I'm doing this, blowing this roof off, you can see Big John over there. He's taking care of some property protection, getting all the surfaces that any of the sodium hypochlorite could get on. He's going to be over there soaking down those areas, soaking down any plants, anything that could be a potential for damage. So we're going to go ahead and take care of this real quick. Before talking about starting the process for cleaning the roof, I want to talk about rooftop safety real fast. So you want to try to always work off a ladder when possible. If the pitch is low enough where you can actually walk that roof, that's fine. But if at all possible, you want to work from the ladder and spray up there and work off of that ladder rather than getting on the roof, because once you actually put your feet on that roof, you become at a whole nother potential for injury. So you want to make sure that you're working as safe as possible. A couple things you can consider is buying some boots called Tiger Paws, or you can invest in some of these Huck like boating style boots. These got a real sticky bottom and they do well on roofs. I think I might have some goat somewhere in my family bloodline, because for some reason I just can climb high-pitched roofs. But rooftop safety is important. Another thing is the proper insurance. You want to protect your customers, and when you get into some of these high-end homes, they're going to really know the difference between somebody that's covered and somebody that's not. So you want to make sure that you got the proper insurance. At least carry a $1 million general liability. A lot of people will even ask for workman's comp because they want to make sure if you get injured on their property that they're not going to be the ones held liable. So it's really important to make sure that you have the proper coverage to protect your customers. So the next thing I want to mention is personal protective equipment, your PPE. You want to always make sure that you have a good quality respirator to wear, because when you start spraying sodium hypochlorite at high percentages, it can cause some problems with your breathing, so you don't want to be breathing those fumes in. Another thing is some gloves. You don't want that high percentage on your skin, and also your safety glasses. You do not want that in your eyes, so make sure that you're using proper safety precautions by utilizing your PPE. Now that we've got all that out of the way, let's get to the actual cleaning of the roof. Now, ARMA, which is the American Roofing Manufacturers Association, they recommend a low pressure application for roof cleaning, which means you want to use a soft wash system, whether that's a 12-volt pump like what we're using right now, or a booster pump setup, or an air diaphragm setup. You want to be able to apply this at low pressure. I think they recommend less than 200 PSI. All right, so we're safely up on the roof, and we got Big John over there taking care of the property protection. One very big thing that's important is make sure you got your man keeping everything wet down on the ground, because any overspray from this roof mix, when you get up into 4 and 5 and 6% of sodium hypochlorite, if you're getting that overspray hitting surfaces, your decks and different type of stuff that's around the house, you can spot it or flash it or oxidize it. And you want to make sure that you got somebody that's keeping an eye on that and that's educated on property protection. Very big. Plant protection is another thing. Make sure you're keeping those plants saturated. But anyway, so when doing this roof cleaning, you can see this roof is really not in that bad a shape. It's more of a cosmetic deal. Now on this side over here, there is some moss and some lichen, and we're going to be taking care of that. But as far as this side, it's really just a cosmetic deal. But I like to apply from the top down. So what I'll do is get in position and then find a good starting point, and then just apply this roof cleaning mix from the top and just work my way across. Now, like I said, if you can work off a ladder, that's great. That's really the best way to do this, but it's not always, you know, available. Like you can see here, this roof, I mean, I could actually step onto the roof from the ground, so I could spray from down there, but I'm getting up here to make sure I get a good job, because this customer more than likely is going to put a close inspection on their roof cleaning. So I want to make sure I get all the little nooks and crannies. But anyway, so I like to just keep applying this roof mix all the way across from the top, and then work my way down in layers. You don't need a heavy application. If anything, you may need to come back and spot treat it. If you see some black spots still on there, you might come back and just hit those areas, but you don't really need a super heavy application of this roof mix to get it clean. So, like I said, I just keep on going with it. One thing to also keep in mind is be careful around little fixtures like this, little vents and hoods. You want to make sure you're not getting anything into those. So be kind of gentle and use a little bit of finesse when you're working with that. But I'll just keep on going, you know. Apply that solution all the way across the top. The surfactant that I'm using here is called Apple Wash. And what I like about Apple Wash is it keeps the smell down a little bit, so you don't really have to worry about people complaining about the smell of bleach. And it looks cool for content purposes. But anyway, this is basically it. I'm gonna keep on going with this and get this whole roof a nice layer of the roof cleaning mix, and then we'll check back with you. Okay, so you can see how I applied that. I started from the top and just did a nice even coat all the way down, back and forth, until I knew the whole entire roof was coated with that roof mix. And you can already see, man, it's already got all the black streaks gone. See if we can get a better look at it. And even close up here, you can see that moss that's in there. It's starting to form, and it's already turning white and killing that moss. So it's doing its job. You can see here that's moss, it's turning white, it's dying off, eradicating the organic system. And we're left with a beautiful result on this side of the roof. So again, 4% mix, maybe a 5 or a 6 depending on how dirty the roof is. And then start from the top, apply the roof cleaning mix with a soft wash method and work your way down. And then you'll see that all of the mold and algae will come off of the roof and it'll be left looking good like this. Property protection's huge, plant protection's huge. Don't know if you could see in the time-lapse video, but some of the overspray actually got on the wood siding over there, and you know, I had that pre-wet before I started the roof cleaning, and then after I got done applying to the shingles, I had to go back and wet that siding. Otherwise, you're gonna end up with some discoloration. So a lot of stuff that's going on, a lot of moving parts involved in roof cleaning. It could go south in a hurry, so you wanna make sure that you're pricing your jobs appropriately and you have the right coverage when you come out here to actually perform the work. So anyway, we're gonna keep on rolling with this thing. I want to show you something here. So this little section of the roof drains down to a rubber roof that's over top of the back porch. So what I've got is I got John down there taking care of any overspray, doing the whole property protection thing. And what I'm going to do to ensure that all this dead algae and moss, which this area right here was heavily infested, especially up here in the nooks and crannies, that's where that moss will get, up under those areas. And all that algae is going to run down onto this roof over here. So what I've done is I went ahead and cleaned this because it had a lot of algae on there. I had to put a mix on there and agitate it with a brush. And I'm going to rinse this section of roof. That way after we leave and the rain comes, all that algae isn't just going to run down back onto that roof and create an eyesore for my customer here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So this is all starting to look really good. You got this roof restored and back to its original condition. You can see over here, I'm going to show you this moss and what it looks like after you apply that SH to it. How's everything looking down there?
Pretty good.
Yeah. I was trying to keep the overspray down as much as possible. But okay, I'll hand it to you. It's real important to make sure that you're got somebody keeping an eye on that overspray, because you can cause some serious damage if you leave a strong mix and you don't realize it got on there, and then you drive home, you think everything's fine, the invoice got paid, all of a sudden you get a phone call and there's you know, a $2,000 worth of damage to your customer's property. You go in the hole, you file an insurance claim. It can happen really easy. So always make sure that you're doing the property protection as good as possible. But let's take a look at this. So once you apply that SH, the sodium hypochlorite, you'll get these, all this moss will turn white and it'll just kind of fall off. It's almost like it grabs on and feeds onto the shingle roof, and as soon as you hit it with that sodium hypochlorite, it just loses its strength and lets go, and Mother Nature will actually make all this stuff fall off with the next good rain. But if it's really not a big problem and it's not going to take a whole lot of time, it's a pretty good practice to go up and do a light rinse just to make it look good. But obviously that's not always practical to do that, so you can definitely let Mother Nature come and do its thing. Just let your customer know, set the expectations that, you know, it's gonna take a couple rains before this moss dries up and lets go of the shingles, and it'll be looking good again. All right, fellas, so all we got left is this last little section, and I'm gonna do this the way that I try to do all the roofs, you know, just set up a ladder and work from the ladder. You know, you can shoot pretty far. Now this right here is a 12-volt pump application, and I'm gonna show you the distance here. I mean, I'm getting plenty to where you can set up usually in the middle, and you can reach a good portion of roof like this. You know, just work your way from the top and work your way back down. Now I got another tip that'll get me a little far, because you can see right here, you know, I'm short of getting all the way to the end, but I have another, you know, smaller orifice tip that I can get those little areas with. So anyway, we're gonna keep on rolling. You can see over here, the other side of the roof is in really good shape. It looks great. We've taken care of all the property protection, made sure everything stayed wet, and Big John did his thing as he always does. That's my boy, he got my back. But yup, Big John holding the ladder, and we're gonna finish this one up. After we get done with the cleaning, always make sure that if you're using a 12-volt booster or whatever, come back over here, and what we'll do is shut off the surfactant, the bleach, leave the water turned all the way on here, and run that pump and rinse out our hoses and flush that pump out really well to make sure that that sodium hypochlorite doesn't break it down. We get a lot more use out of it. So find a good inconspicuous spot to drain the pump and rinse it out really good. One thing I'll do is if I still have that roof mix in the lines here, I have a separate tank. I'll either empty it back into the bleach tank if I've got nowhere to put it, or into my little downstreaming tank over there. So, but always make sure you rinse out that pump really, really well, and it'll last you a long time. Rinsing the roof isn't always the best option. Depending on the circumstances and the way that the house or the property is laid out, you might not want to rinse because you could end up causing some problems there. But what I like to do all the time, especially when I don't have gutters, or the gutters are leading to a Japanese maple or some plants, after I apply that roof cleaning mix and get it all on the roof, before I leave, I'll fire up the power washer and use a nice fan mist spray, and I'll just coat that entire roof with water. And what that does is it allows a lot of that mix to fall off the roof. About half of it is what I aim to do. You know, there's no way to really mathematically find out how much that you're getting really off of the roof, but if I can put a nice light mist on this roof and get some of that solution off of there, then I'm not going to get all of that sodium hypochlorite hitting that gutter system or hitting the vegetation at the same time. So let's take a look at this. So yeah, this came out really, really nice. Actually, the homeowner came by and stopped and talked to me, and he was really happy with the results. One good thing is to always educate them. Whenever you're doing a roof job for somebody, make sure you let them know something, that the moss that's left on the roof will fall off. You know, once you spray it with that sodium hypochlorite, it's going to turn white, it's going to kill it, eradicate it. And when Mother Nature comes it'll fall right off and leave this roof looking good again. So you always want to make sure that you educate them on that. Otherwise, they're going to call you back for sure and say, hey, why is this stuff still on my roof? So you always want to make sure you're educating your customer on the whole entire process so they know what to expect. Another big one is going to be animals. You know, if you see that they've got dog houses and doggy toys around the house, make sure you let them know that there's chemical on this roof, and if there's any puddles where these downspouts lead or areas in the back where the runoff is going to hit those puddles, make sure you let them know to keep their dogs from drinking that stuff for a couple days after the first few rains to prevent any problems. So always keep those expectations set and do a good job for your customer. Get that roof looking great, get paid, take that check to the bank. All right, fellas, so that's it for my roof cleaning video. I hope you enjoyed it. If so, please hit me with a like and subscribe down below. And as always, keep on hustling, keep on grinding, shining like a diamond. We'll check you later. Peace.